Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Charlton Chronicles. As you can see, we are without Tyler tonight, but we have our new addition, which we will get to meet in a second. He's waving at you. I apologise for the state of me. I am in my Christmas pyjamas. Don't judge. I've been at work, been out for a beer, and I've had a curry, freezing cold. So here I am in my fleecy pyjamas. Don't judge. But they're kind of got red on them, so I'm kind of in scheme. So tonight we are obviously joined by the lovely Paul, the lovely Steve and Sydney, and a massive welcome to our new co-host on the Charlton Chronicles, the lovely Callum. So Callum, I'll start with you. Welcome to the team, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Looking forward to it. Everyone knows that I talk too much anyway, so extra hour to chat Charlton, why not?
Well, you and Paul will be in. We've got a couple of ranters now. That's gonna, and I'm tired as well.
Rant
so
of heaven.
if I just start going, I'll just, you know why. I'll come to you next, Paul. How are you, my other favourite ranter?
I'm fine. I mean, don't worry about you apologising for the state of you. I'm always having to apologise for the state of me. But no, it was a great day yesterday. Obviously, had a few beers in the pub with Callum, and went over the other to the Spoons to see Chris Collingwood, friend of the show. But yeah, it was a good day all round. Stuart's got to be heavy-handed, obviously, at times. But no, I mean, I think we luckily managed to rescue it. I think we got out of jail. But I think anything, we certainly shouldn't have lost that by any means. So I think, I think a draw was probably the right result. And it was relatively uneventful getting there and back, unlike other situations. But I'll leave that to others to talk about if they want.
Yeah, and Steve and Sid, how are we both on this fine Sunday evening?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Em. Decent day yesterday. Really, really lovely moment when we got the goal, and I think well deserved as well. Yeah, it's 7 points out of 9. I think we've got to be really pleased with that, and the run continues. So onwards and upwards.
Yeah, and I saw you both on my telly when I was watching the highlights. Sid full hand in the air, giving it some with her phone in her hand.
Standing on a seat, yeah.
I was like, I can't escape these two, for God's sake. And Sid, how are you, lovely?
Yeah, good, thank you. You know what, good result yesterday. And as Paul said, I didn't think we deserved to lose at all. So happy that we got back in the game. Yeah,
definitely. We will obviously talk about tonight's game. God, I told you I weren't with it. About yesterday's game and the result, and obviously what a great week it's been for us as well. And obviously we will preview Saturday's game on Wednesday. So we'll say good evening to a few people in the chat. So Charlie's first in there. Good evening. Good evening to Chris. And Chris said, welcome to Callum. Good evening to Tom. Good evening to Tracy. Good evening to Lionel. Good evening to Tommy. Chris said, good evening all. Where's Tyler in a police cell in Hull for ruining our away form? I did post my story. I don't know if you're saying it. Say, if you see this man, keep away from him. Good evening to Sophie, who's also welcomed Callum to the pod. Tommy has said, good on you, Callum. Glenn has said, evening, Emma and gang. David is in a hi Emma, how's the knee? The knee is not so good, but we try and keep the pod to a positive rather than me ranting about my middle-aged aches and pains. And good evening to Mr. Arch, who is in the chat, so he's left us but not left us. And good evening to Matt. So obviously it's been a really good week for us as Charlton fans. You know, we can't complain. 7 points out of a possible 9. I think most of us here would have probably taken a draw before the game yesterday. I obviously wasn't at the game yesterday as I had to work. So kind of I'm relying on these guys to kind of fill me in, really. So Callum, I'm gonna start with you. Give me kind of your overall opinion on the game, maybe without going too in depth into player performances. But obviously the first thing I kind of want to ask is, you know, when the lineup come out, I think I messaged Adam and I was like, what the hell is this lineup? And, you know, the one player that, you know, I haven't been a fan of in the past, but this year I've raved about and I've spoken to you about on many occasions, to not see Connor Coventry on that team sheet yesterday was a bit of a shock for me. And he's probably the one player out the whole squad that is undroppable for me. So I was really shocked. And yeah, so tell me what obviously you thought about the lineup and your overall kind of thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I won't repeat what I said to my and your friend Larry, because it would not be appropriate for for a family show. That shocked me. I thought it was interesting after came in, although I didn't mind that. I was shocked that it was Nibs that came in and Doc moved back to the 6, which I don't think historically has worked particularly well. And spoiler alert, I don't think it worked yesterday. I thought the flat midfield 3 was far too open. I thought it was interesting seeing Leeburn get a start as well, which means all 4 strikers have started this week, which again is rotation, but also I think Nathan experimenting a little bit. But I agree with Nathan. It would have been an absolute travesty if we didn't get something from the game. But both managers at the end of it went, yeah, a point is fair. So I think the best way to kind of look at it is go, if both managers think a point is fair, the point is probably fair. Although I'm incredibly annoyed at even Panda for that excellent save on Tyrese Campbell's first shot about a minute in, because he did everything right. And the keeper's just, robbed him from 3 yards out. So, a point was fair. It's mildly frustrating, I think, that we that we dropped 2 points because of a mistake, which is partially my fault for my tweet on Saturday morning. But yeah, I think a draw is fair. Although I would very much like to not see a Charlton midfield without Connor Coventry until we've invested in January ever again. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. A team without Connor Coventry isn't, and this is something that I never thought I'd say, isn't the same team, unfortunately. Connor is the glue that holds us together, I do believe. So, Stephen Cedar, I'll come to you. I don't know if you've got the same thoughts about the game there as what Callum's kind of said, but obviously, again, that lineup was a bit of a shock. So, what was your thoughts? And to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed for Tanto, if I'm being completely honest, after his performance at Ipswich in that first sort of 60 minutes, where I thought he was quite impressive. I know we'll obviously come on to TC because I know Callum. I'll probably ask Callum because Callum is very much, he's very honest with his opinions on TC and what he thinks he brings to the team. But I don't think it warranted Tanto being dropped. I was quite surprised because, especially of the impact that Miles and TC had at Ipswich, it wouldn't have been my starting pairing. So what was your thoughts on that lineup, when the team came out?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very attacking forward lineup, with Apter coming in and Nibs coming in. But yeah, I don't think that Tanto should have been dropped. And to be honest, neither with Kelman, because I mean, you've seen on like Tuesday night that you've got 2 strikers there that work well together and they're actually making chances for each other and for the team. So why he would change it and try and start Miles and TC is a bit strange to me, because as I just said, you've got 2 strikers there who know what they're doing. You found a pairing with them, use them. But he changed it up, and I don't think that it massively worked. And to be honest, I don't know what Tanto has to do to get in the side. So I do think that Nathan Jones needs to have a bit of a think about that.
That's you being polite, Sid. I could have said a lot worse. Steve, what was your thoughts really on that yesterday?
Yeah, it was a bit of an eye opener, really, wasn't it? When you saw the team sheet, I ultimately thought straight away, well, he's going for this today. If you're playing Apter on the right, it was sort of screaming out creativity. Whereas on a couple of the other big away games this season, Sheffield United put Bree in there for a reason to protect the back four. But yeah, I ultimately thought he was going to go to it. Like was mentioned there, I'm not sure that Doc's a 6 or a 4, to be honest with you. But yeah, you see Nibs playing in the same team as Kerry, and you wonder how that's going to work out. I thought Kerry was excellent again. I think Harvey was potentially okay, a little bit disappointed. I certainly don't think he took his chance. But yeah, it was certainly a brave move as well, because you're talking about interrupting potentially a good run, a bit of momentum, and all of a sudden, if you take those players out, especially the senior players that we're taking out, you it's somewhat of a gamble. But ultimately, we walked away from it at a point. So he may well wake up this morning and Nathan and go, do you know what? Yeah, I'm okay with it. It got us a point. Possibly could have got us 3 points yesterday. But as I say, I think a draw was a fair result. But a brave gamble all the same.
Yeah, and Paul, I'll come to you because I spoke to Tyler after the game, and obviously we know Tyler went up. He still hasn't broken his away to jinx there, where he's not seen us win. I think away in something like 1,000 odd days, but we didn't lose at the same time, which was good. But Tyler's kind of analysis after the game was that we were lucky to have got a draw, and basically that we were shit. So I wondered what kind of if his I don't know how many red stripes he'd had, to be honest. He was on the Jamaican beer. He told me in honour of the Jamaican members of our squad because he couldn't get his Stella. But do you kind of echo his sentiments there, or your honest opinion of the game overall, really?
Well, I think both teams cancelled each other out. I mean, going back to the rotation, I think none of us would disagree in principle with rotation. 3 games in a week, 2 consecutive away games. You need to start thinking about rotating your squad. But to me, when I said to Callum earlier on his pod, it seemed a bit too radical to me, particularly Connor. I think we were all shocked that Connor wasn't on the team sheet. Now he's in a position in the midfield there, the engine room, where he does get around. I forget how many Ks he does every game, 12, 15, I can't remember now. He gets through a lot of work. So you need to be thinking, well, is he going to do a 46 game season at that rate? Probably not. But so again, I can understand possibly the idea of resting him, but perhaps not for an away game at Hull, who are flying relatively high. They've got some excellent players, particularly in midfield. And we needed Connor and Doc, that combo with Sonny, as we've seen before, which has borne fruit. And I think we got away with one, as Tyler said. Had it not been for Bez, what was it, first minute of the stoppage time, we could well have lost. And we look back and say, yeah, we took a point, we got out of jail, lessons learned, let's move on. And I think, as Callum said, the first lesson of the day is let's not drop Connor Coventry or leave him out, rest him unless it's absolutely necessary, because we really saw the difference. Again, I agree with Sidami Tanto. Again, it's almost a case of free Tanto again, because I thought that he and Charlie did very well that first half at Ipswich. And yeah, obviously, I accept that TC and Miles came on and did a job, and they certainly did a job. But I did worry a bit that we were going to be a little bit threadbare. Ironically, as we've said, TC had 2 great chances. Their keeper, I think, sort of smothered the first one, rather like Thomas Quincy did Ipswich in the first 5 or 6 minutes. Really crucial save. TC probably should have done better with the second effort, and we could have been ahead, and the whole dynamic of the game should have changed. As it turned out, obviously we didn't make most of the chances. It ended up in a bit of a stalemate. I think midfield stalemate. It was only ever going to be decided by sort of a mistake, and sadly, obviously Macca made that, as we'll, I'm sure, discuss in depth later on. And then we managed to get the goal back. I think anything but a draw was probably would have been a bit of a travesty for both sides, I think. But yeah, no, it's all right experimenting, but I'd rather he did it until the League Cup or the FA Cup, not a crucial away game in the league. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was probably my issue as well. A crucial away game, and we've probably dropped potentially some of, and especially like James Bree, Connor Coventry, they're probably 2 of our most standout players in the squad. Maybe drop one, but maybe not both. And especially as we don't really have the straight backup for Connor either. Obviously, we kind of do, but he's not here. He's over in Northampton. So we don't really have another number 6 in the squad. So we'll read some comments out from the chat. So Thomas said, the only reason I can see why he changed it is purely down to rest players. Chris has said, Sid rant incoming. David has said Apter was not happy being subbed. We will talk about that because I have heard some rumblings about that.
Buddy said Acton wasn't bad by any means, but Bree is just quality. He's shown that hopefully fans don't compare them anymore. Matt has said, really enjoying your honesty, Sid. That's what we need more. No beating around the bush. Matt, how long have you been watching this pod for? Because I am the most honest person you will ever meet. Buddy has also said, I'd agree with Tyler. We was poor. I feel the amount of counter-attacks they had should have scored more. And then Buddy has said, I personally believe ranking Costello is that replacement. I haven't seen enough of him to warrant him, to be honest, even being on the bench. The games I have seen, I think he's been dreadful. So
he's an 8 anyway. He's not a 6. He's either a right wing back or an 8.
Okay, he's an 8. So he's basically Doc.
He's more of a Doc replacement than a Coventry replacement.
So he obviously, the guy I'm talking about is Terry Taylor, who is obviously a 6 and is at Northampton Town. So, Callum, I'll come back to you because no, actually, I won't come back to you because I'm going to save Tyrese Campbell for you. So, I know you're desperate to talk about him. And you're desperate to have a little discussion with me about it because we've got completely different opinions. Paul, I'll come back to you actually. So defensively, let's talk about the back three. So obviously we lined up. If I'm correct me if I'm not wrong, or if I'm wrong. So Macca, Lloydie, and Kane, I believe, was the back three. Now, obviously, that is a pretty solid, back three. Lloyd, I see, got player of the match. Lloyd doing Lloyd things like he always does. Kane, again, I see he put a couple of good blocks in. Macca, bless him. I don't know where he thought he was prime light. Well, I don't know who he thought he was, but it was shocking for their goal. I don't know what he was doing. But
he nearly got free.
But he's very much like that, isn't he? You kind of let him off the mistakes because of he scores the goals. So what did you make of their overall performance yesterday?
Yeah, I thought they were solid. I mean, Macca, as I said, he overplayed it. He did one shimmy too many, I think, really. He should have just got rid of the ball. But I thought they were pretty solid. I didn't feel that they were in any particular danger. I think maybe, again, Kane might have overplayed once or twice, got caught in possession. But, again, I think it was, the whole, created some chances. Gelb obviously scored the goal and he looked very, very lively. But I don't know. I just felt that it was going to be. I said to Chris, sort of 20 minutes in, it's got 0-0 written all over it, and it could well have had. To be honest with you, I didn't think there was much in it. Hull were a bit profligate, but as we said, so were we. So I didn't feel that they were particularly stretched. But yeah, as James said, he thought he just got the ball, and then they kind of hunted in packs. The 3 or 4 whole attackers were waiting for that to happen, and they just pounced on it. It was like lightning. Reminded me of, I think, Derby last year, the year before, I think, when Mendes Lang, I think, scored, and it was just we gave it away, and he was away, and I think it was similar there. They just 3 or 4 of them just pounced. So, but other than that, I mean, I thought Macca did okay, as you say. Lloyd did Lloyd things. Kane, again, putting some good tackles. It was all pretty. It was just sort of disappointing to give the goal away, particularly early in the second half. So, but we got ourselves back in. As I say, managed to get the goal. It was a bit skin of our teeth time at the end, wasn't it? But I mean, I think a draw was probably about a fair result. I don't think either team were particularly sparkling in any way. As I say, we both teams have got individuals that can do some damage. But I think both defences and sort of held up really. So yeah, I think it's probably a 7 out of 10 for all of them really at the back three.
Yeah, and Callum, I'll come to you to talk about the wing back. So obviously Rob Akhtar, he's been brought back in out of the abyss wherever he's been hiding, and the poor guy. I feel terribly sorry for him in all reality because he got Player of the Month. He was outstanding for us. There's no beating around the bush. He was. And he was so creative. He was doing a really good job, solid job for us. And he just got dropped out of nowhere. And then he's not even made a substitute appearance since. And then he just is down on the team sheet again. And he must be thinking to himself, what the hell is going on? And from what I hear, and I was sent some messages saying that when he was subbed off, he went straight down the tunnel and he was fuming. To be honest, I can kind of understand why maybe he's feeling that way. And, you know, has there something gone on behind the scenes that, you know, we don't know about? And then on the other hand, we've got Amari Bell, who has probably been one of my standout players this season. I think he's been absolutely outstanding for us. And he goes very under the radar and doesn't really get the praise maybe that he deserves. And it's someone who I massively bigged up, I think, on last week's pod, because for me, he puts in a 9 out of 10 performance every week. So obviously, if you've got thoughts on the actor situation, maybe we'll start with that first.
Yeah. So I can probably tell you why Apter was dropped, because at Sheffield United he was dropped for. And it's going to sound like a bit of a strange reason, but basically, obviously, Ramsey got that red card, which means Reece Burke had to come in. Now, Reece Burke cannot cover the amount of ground that Kane Ramsey can next to him. And if you ask him to, he will pull not just one hamstring, but probably both. He can defend basically one sort of square. He doesn't run much further than that square. He does sort of look after himself. He's massively injury prone. So I think what Nathan thought is, if I bring in a more defensive option in James Bree, I can sort of cover that sort of space, but he can take a free kick, and that's helpful. Ultimately, James Bree came in and decided to be the Roberto Carlos of the Championship for 5 weeks, which means that Rob Apter just can't get in because you can't take James Bree out. And then we've ended up in a really awkward situation where it sounds like, from what I've told, this Japanese lad sounds like he may be coming in January. And now it looks like, well, what on earth do we do at right back? So it's my thing with Apter is, like, no, he didn't deserve to be dropped, but you can't play Rob Apter next to Reece Burke because Reece Burke can't cover that space. So it has to be Kane Ramsey. So you end up in this sort of really awkward spot. So in terms of him coming off, like, we'll get to it. Tyrese Campbell moving to left wing back, I think, is going to be very controversial. But I think that him bringing James Bree on ultimately was proven to be the right decision. I guess the frustration for Apter is the save that Panda makes on Tyrese Campbell is a cross from Rob Apter, which should have been an assist. So I think we're just he's in a really difficult spot because he's basically playing next to someone who's rotating with someone who's in such a fine purple patch that it's hard for him to get in. And so it's frustrating because it's not his fault he was dropped. It's sort of Kane Ramsey's fault that he's dropped, and no one can blame Kane Ramsey for that. He got himself a stupid red card. But that's kind of the issue. In terms of Amari Bell, I thought Amari Bell was the best player on the pitch on Tuesday night. And that first half, I thought it was absolutely sensational, considering what he was dealing with. My problem with left back, and I've said this on my own pod multiple times, is the lack of depth there terrifies me, especially since Amari Bell has a history of calf strains. And calf strains can obviously starts as a 2-week injury and becomes a 5-6 week. And we don't have anyone else who can go out there, which would mean putting Tyrese Campbell out there, which against Championship forwards, I think, would be completely disastrous. So we need to buy a left wing back in January, or loan someone in, or bring someone in just as cover, because the way Josh Edwards plays football means that he will get himself injured. And I like Josh Edwards. So wing back is really tricky. When you're playing a 5-back, you need them to be attacking outlets. But when you've got sort of semi-limited centre-backs behind them, and Gillespie's limited because of his lack of pace as well. So you couldn't play a left winger there because you'd leave too much space for him to cover. So we're just in a bit of a weird spot, I think, at full-back, where the players we've got there are actually individually very good footballers. But because of the quote-unquote some of the limitations of the centre-backs in terms of pace and injury records and ability to cover, it means that you have to play the right combination. It's frustrating for a player like Apter, who actually has played really well when he's played. So, you know, that I think is why tactically we're doing what we're doing, and why it's become such a problem.
My issue with it is, and tell me if you agree or not, but when you sign a player like Rob Apter, you know Rob Apter's a winger. Now, you're signing a player like Rob Apter. Why are you signing him if you don't play wingers? And this is my issue, because we've signed a really quality player in Rob Apter, I believe, and he is someone that should be starting games. Now, why are we playing him at wing back? He's obviously not a wing back, the same as Tyrese isn't a wing back. We've seen him at wing back in the past, and he's been, let's be honest, he's been poor.
He can't defend.
So why sign? Poor is me being kind, in all honesty, but why are we signing a winger? This is my frustration, Callum, and why are we signing a winger if we don't play wingers?
So if I use an example, which I think is the best one, would be actually Sporting Lisbon, right? If we go over to Portugal, Keita, their fullback, who's now been signed for Chelsea, but is back on loan at Sporting this year, was a winger his entire career. He came in, Ruben Amorim went, right, you can play wing back, right? He's not really, he was a winger, right? But the modern sort of 5-back, your wing backs are wingers. So it's a really strange thing. If on one side I've got someone who's actually a left back playing left wing back, so he doesn't overlap. He's trying to overlap Amari Bell, and this isn't a criticism of him, but actually probably suits being a left back in a 4 better than he does. And he's actually a centre back in a 5. But if he's going to play left back, probably suits actually playing left back in a 4, where you're covering less space because you've got the winger in front. And on the right side, you've actually probably got in James Breer, a right back who's probably better as a right back in a 4. But we play a 3, so in order to sort of create the overload on one side, what we do instead is when we go forward, we say to whether it's Brie on that side or Apter on that side, go and play winger when we go forward. That sometimes leaves space kind of in behind, and you basically have Coventry and Doc kind of drop into that gap. When you have Kane Ramsey, it makes life easy, right? Because Kane Ramsey just covers that space, no problem at all. When you don't have Kane Ramsey, you've got Reece Burke there, he can't cover that space. So he is playing right wing back, Rob Apter, but he's not. He's actually really playing right wing. He's just being asked to come back every once in a while to cover the space. But actually, if you look at it, Ramsey's doing most of the actual defending. You're just kind of asking to be an extra body. So I don't know if that sort of makes sense. I sort of understand you want to go and buy a right wing back, and I think that's what Fukuwada coming in would be, if it is to be, because he is a specialised right wing back. But right wing backs and left wing backs, because they're so popular in modern football and because they're so hard to produce, because no kid at the under 9 level goes, I want to go and play left wing back. They go, I want to go and play left wing. They're expensive. So that's why you're doing it. It's kind of, it's a budget thing. It's basically, they're expensive. You can't find them. Watford sold Ryan Andrews, who is a pretty bang average right wing back, to BSC Young Boys in Switzerland for almost £2 million, right? He's not worth £2 million. Watford fans are incredibly critical of him, but because Young Boys needed a right wing back, they had to go and find someone. And if you find one, they're expensive, which is why we've gone to the Japanese market by the sounds of things and gone, okay, you're available from Japanese League 2. And they've gone, actually, if you want him, because we're in a title race, it's going to be 800 grand to prize him away. So instead, we've gone and signed James Breer on loan, and now we're in a really awkward spot in terms of how many right backs we're carrying and who's doing what. So I don't know if that kind of clarifies it, but I think it's murky because that's probably the one side of the squad. Those wing backs are the part of the squad that's the most difficult to get right, and we probably sort of put a little bit of gaffer tape on it for now and said, okay, we'll get through to January, we might get through to next summer, and then we'll solve this because we don't have to spend. I don't have to buy Harvey Nibbs, for example. Right, I can put that money into a fullback sort of pot. I hope that makes sense. I didn't rant too much.
No. Buddy has just asked a question. So it's Nathan Jones has made it clear he wants to sign Brie on a permanent if we manage to make that happen. Do you think we will get the Japanese lad? I believe Fukuda, I don't know if I've said that right, he's done. He has signed a pre-contract.
Yeah.
So he will be here in January. So I doubt Brie will be staying. I would imagine he will go back, and Fukuda is due to come in. So I've just got to say hi to a few people in chat who are late. So we've got CAFC Irva said, hi, Steve.
Hello.
Hello. And Chris has just got in there. Good evening, Chris, and to Soph and to Jack as well, who I'm sure, I've got to start all of a sudden. I'm sure that Jack is very happy that his dad scored yesterday in Mr. Luke Berry. So Jack Berry, I'm sure you're very, very happy. So Stephen Sid, I'll come to you and we'll talk about the midfield. Obviously, we've spoken about Connor Coventry not being included, which was probably the biggest shock of yesterday. So obviously, we started with Harvey Nibbs, who I've not really been impressed with, to be honest. For the price tag that came with him, I don't see the big deal yet. But obviously, I believe he's not match fit either. And I've also got to be in the understanding that he hasn't really had much of a chance to impress. So it seemed a bit of a strange thing to frame into, a biggish away game. And obviously, Doc, so Nibbs, Doc, and obviously the ginger genius, Mr. Sonny Carey. So what did you make of that midfield three yesterday?
I thought Carey carried on from where he left off on Tuesday night, to be honest with you. I thought he was our most dangerous player going forward. He always seems to find himself space. I mean, and I know that's down to that's down to his own positioning and the fact that he's putting himself into those spaces to do damage. But yeah, I think he was very good with the ball yesterday. He got us from sort of A to B quickly, from balls out from the back four, and then obviously getting us into attacking positions. I think he had the maybe two or three of our shots as well. I think they only really came from him. But yeah, in regards to Nibbs, I've been so excited about watching him explode at some point, because watching that guy play against us, he was such a fantastic presser of the ball. He'd get the ball back in really dangerous situations, and he would hurt you. And I'm sure at some point that will come. I'm sure that when he gets himself to match fit and he gets himself into maybe a run of 4 or 5 games, all the stuff will come back. I think he was tidy. I think he worked hard. I think he showed some nice touches, but he didn't really. I don't know what the prerequisite was for him yesterday, but he didn't get hold of the game like Carey did. But Carey's been doing that all season for us, hasn't he? He's been our driving force going forward. But yeah, it was kind of a strange one to work out how they were going to play together yesterday. I thought Doc was solid. He just did his normal stuff. He was an engine. He got about the pitch. He broke up play, and I thought he was a good option for us to get things started and get the ball moving forward. But yeah, Sonny Carey outstanding. Thought he was great again. But yeah, Harvey, I think we're just all waiting for him to explode, aren't we?
Yeah, I think someone's put in the chat, or James has put in the chat, anonymous Nibbs, hope he improves. And I think that is the thing that I'm seeing as well, that he's not improving, unfortunately. But obviously we need to see more, and he's got the strangest song I've ever heard. Sid, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do think that our midfield was quite good. Obviously, not having Connor Coventry there was a bit of a change, and I do think that we could have utilised him in the game yesterday from the start. But again, Sonny Carey was brilliant, as he always is. Thought that Nibbs could have improved on quite a lot. As Dad said, he was really good last season, and I think we were all excited about him, and now it's not as high as our expectations were for him. But overall, I think that the midfield was really good, and I thought that Doc has again stepped up. I mean, playing against his old team, and I did think that he again showed us what he's kind of all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely turned into more of a leader this season, which is, compared to last season, is really, really good to see. Paul, I'll come back to you, because obviously I'm saving TC down for Callum. he's gonna love that. So I'll talk to you about Miles. And now, obviously, Miles massively impressive at Ipswich when he came on. With TC, so I get why maybe Nathan wanted to start with that partnership, but my issue is, and obviously, like I said, we'll come on to Tyrese, but I find that when we play with Tyrese and Miles, that obviously Tyrese drifts out wide constantly, and Miles isn't a lone striker. He needs to play someone to play off of him, and TC doesn't really get himself in those positions to play off of Miles because he's too wide. So, how, obviously, I've seen the highlights. As you know, I didn't make the game, but, Miles didn't look like he had an awful lot of chances. So, sum up his performance for me.
Well, he worked hard. He got around, won some headers. He was kind of feeding on scraps, really. It was all a bit disjointed. I mean, as I say, I have a go at Sky Sports. I call them Sky Tropes, but there's one or two people in the fan base that seem to think that Miles is lazy. This trope is sort of wheeled out for me on a regular basis. He certainly wasn't that. He certainly worked very hard. But yeah, there wasn't really much that he could do. I mean, as I say, he worked well in defensive situations. As I say, he won some. The headers that he won, a number of headers he won. I forget how many and what percentage. But he didn't really have much to work with, I didn't think, to be honest with you. I mean, we've talked previously about, TC and Charlie playing together. They need to get towards each other. And I'd say the same thing probably about TC and Miles. I mean, obviously, as we said, if TC had put in one of those chances early on, the dynamic, should I say, might well have changed. But yeah, it just didn't seem to work for me. Similarly, I mean, as you said, they finished off on a hot streak against Ipswich, but it just didn't. Yeah, you would have liked it to carry on really, but it just didn't seem to do that. It was all a bit of nothing to me, I think. So as I say, not Miles' fault. He struggled manfully. Probably didn't have much that he could do really. So yeah, but yeah, sort of a shame really. But as I say, put that one to bed, and hopefully, next week he'll come back strong again. But yeah, it was a bit weird. As I say, it's just he tried hard, 8 out of 10 for effort. 6 out of 10 for end product, but I don't think that was his fault.
Yeah, like DJ has put in the chat that Miles needs to bully defenders more, like Chucks did, and I'd probably agree with that. For the size of him, he probably does need to be a bit tougher. But Miles is Miles, and I think what I'm going to ask everyone to do once we've sort of finished talking about TC is I'm going to ask everyone in the chat to put who their front starting 2 strikers would be, because I'm really interested in people's opinions. Now we're 12 games in to actually know whose people's 2 starting strikers will be. So, guys, pop them in the chat. I'll be really interested to hear your opinions on those. So, Callum, we're going to come to the player that I'm probably always arguing about. Well, it's not even an argument. Look, I love TC as a person. I love him as a lad. I love his work ethic. I think he works incredibly hard. But I'm very much in the camp of I don't get it. We're 12 games in. He's got 1 assist, which was about 10 foot out on Tuesday night. I don't even know how that goal was given, in all honesty, because I was in the disabled seat at the front and I had a really good view, but he was miles out. There's no end product, and I see his chances yesterday, and he's got to be burying those. He's got to be doing better. If you're a striker, you have to do better. So, how long are we going to keep playing this Tyree? I call it the Tyrese Campbell, love fest, before we change it up, because 12 games in, 1 assist and no goals. Can we carry on like this? Is it acceptable that he's keeping his place in the team when others are outscoring him, others are outperforming him, yet he's still getting his place in the team week in, week out?
Okay.
I'm ready.
No, it's not. So, as I always say, it's not always and maybe I should when I come on here. When I do my own thing, I'm very much like what I'm trying to do a lot of the times is understand what on earth the crazy Welshman is thinking, which is a task. Sometimes I sit on trains home and I'm like, why on earth did he do that? And then he says something weird and I'm like, why have he said that? But that's sort of oftentimes what I'm trying to do is trying to puzzle it sort of for myself. It's like the least exciting answer to anything ever in football is to use the words press integrity. But the reason why he starts so many games, especially games away from home or games where Nathan wants to play a bit more defensive, maybe, is because press structure. So if we take Tuesday night as an example, there are 2 things that probably to me, and I haven't, I've listened to the pod quite often, but I haven't been on, to sort of talk about it. But sometimes I hear it and I hear the sort of 3 times I think, and I get that. I do genuinely get that. Because actually I would like to see a Lee Bentanto front 2 at some point starting, and I haven't seen it and it annoys me. So this is not me saying that TC should start every week. When you watch the game on Tuesday, that first 25 minutes, if you noticed, you had two strikers standing in the middle of the pitch. Ipswich took the ball and went, right, out we go. And I know they have Leif Davis on one side, and then you had Ashley Young, who's 40, but still a very good fullback for the level. Outside, 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 down the sides, down the sides, down the sides. And we had nothing in front of that midfield three. We had a really stretched midfield three, which meant that Carey was boxed in for a lot of that first half. Doherty and Connor are being overrun because they've got three midfielders coming kind of directly at us, and the ball's just going straight round the side, right? Now, the exchange for that, for allowing Ipswich to be more expansive, is that on the break, you get the opportunity. Now, the argument I think that no one will make is that does anybody expect when Tanto put the ball up for him to score the one-on-one? Because I didn't expect him to score it. I just sort of went, he's not going to score that. And that's I think the problem that you have when you're in the position that we're in, which is we don't have, the reason why strikers are so expensive is for moments like that. And we're sort of winning despite not scoring those sorts of goals. We're sixth despite not having those sorts of moments. But I think Nathan's entire idea is integrity of the press. We can win the ball higher up. That allows us to get the ball forward. And it goes back to the Miles point as well, which is if you notice when Miles plays, Apps are quite often players as well, and you end up, or Bree ends up pushing really high up. And one of the things that I always say about Miles is Miles is not a target man. So when you put TC next to him, you say knock it down to him. That's not his game. Like knocking the ball up to him and saying knock it down. I think somebody, as you were saying, was saying be more like Chucks in the chat. But Chucks was quite a specialized player in that sort of way because he was so much bigger and so much stronger than League One players. Miles is so much taller, but I wouldn't say he's so much stronger in that sort of way. In the championship level, you can't really be that much stronger than everybody else because everybody's that strong. If you look at it yesterday, right? Charlie Hughes is going to go for 25 million in the summer, right? From Hull. He's going to go for this. He's really helped us out the last 3 times we played against him, but he's an exceptional centre-back. They'll sell him for 25 million, no problem at all, to a Premier League club next summer. But you're playing great centre-backs or good centre-backs at least every single week, and that's the sort of challenge, is that I think what Nathan's doing is he's going, I'd rather protect the integrity of my press, and I'd rather make it so I'm hard to play around and catch you on the counter rather than try to be expansive. And I think that's kind of the problem. And I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with it because I don't think I necessarily do all the time. But if I'm Nathan Jones, I'm going, yeah, but I'm 6th in the championship with 19 points from 12 games. Something must be working. And we're able to win enough games, playing like that. Now, him going to left wing back, I think, is a whole different thing because that was really weird. And I don't like when that happens. And I don't mind him coming off. And I actually wouldn't mind him coming off the bench. But I can see why the manager does it. And I think hopefully that kind of, hope people can see why rather than it's a difficult thing because, if we played Tanto and Carmen together and they'd each scored 4 goals each and that'd be one thing. Because nobody is scoring, he's gone, well, none of you are scoring. It'll be very interesting when Matty Godden comes back because that may change that thought process as you go, okay, I've got a finisher now. I want to change what I'm doing. But I have a horrible feeling the player that will be coming out when Matty Gunn comes back is a certain Charlie Kelman. Because, again, he will go, I want to protect the integrity of my press.
Yeah, because I think, like, James has agreed pretty much with you, and he said in chat, I don't think TC is playing as a striker. His job is to get the team up the pitch.
Yeah.
Which is right, but my issue is with that. He still has 0 end product. And
I don't disagree.
It's great. It's great to get us up the pitch, but yeah, you're driving us into the penalty area or whatever, but you're not doing anything when you get there, and that is my issue with him. He's got to work on his end product. It's shocking. It is shocking.
I think the reason he loves him, and then I'm gonna cede the floor. The reason he loves him is not the reason I think a lot of people think that you think, oh, it's exciting winger with all the skills. The reason Nathan Jones loves him is I think he looks at him the same way he looked at Adebayo at Luton, who was a very athletic striker, who also couldn't hit a barn door half the time. And he went, you can do my press. That's what Nathan Jones loves. It's not whether you can score or not. He goes, you can do my press. And he goes to Miles Lieber and he goes, you're 6'6" and I can aim the ball at your head. right?
He's 6'7", Callum.
6 foot. He is 6'7". Why do I keep saying that? I know he's 6'7", but like he looks at you and goes, "There's a very specific attribute that I'm going to make right." He looks at TC and goes, "You're athletic and quick, and you can learn my press. Fine, that makes you an excellent player for me."
Yeah.
And I think that's when Luton fan says he will do things that are absolutely baffling to you, but ultimately you'll be successful. I look at Adebayo and I go, when Nathan Jones left and Adebayo became the main striker in the Premier League, it was almost humorous how he could not score. But it looked ridiculous because the guy isn't doing the same press anymore. And so that, I think, is where a lot of this stuff is sort of coming from. And I think he probably looks at Micah and Bick and goes, beyond the fact that he looks like a generational talent, as I think he looks at him and goes, wait a minute, you're massive, so you're big like Miles is, but you're athletic like he is, so you can also do my press. So I think that's kind of the players he likes, the players that can play in his system, rather than I think he thinks he's the greatest striker on planet Earth.
Yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying, and people in the chat are absolutely agreeing with you as well and saying how good your analysis is. I mean, I was getting to the point with TC where I was beginning to think maybe that he had naked photos of Nathan Jones's wife, and that's the reason why he wasn't being dropped. So,
Can I make a point? There was an interesting caveat on the way back yesterday. Apparently, a conversation was had that got whispered around the train on the journey back that a couple of Charlton fans were talking to a group of Hull fans, and to a man, the group of Hull fans basically came out yesterday and said that Tyrese was our best player on the day by a country mile. So yeah, essentially they are seeing or looking at something completely different to what we're looking at. Yeah,
it's really weird. QPR fan says he was our best player. People go, he was crap. Sheffield United fans when he was our best player.
He's just not though, and that's the thing that kind of annoys me.
Sid!
Like, oh my god, like sorry to him, but all these people are praising him. I get that. Okay, he had a few shots yesterday, but did he score? No. And the fact that this guy can't hold the ball up on a pitch, it just amazes me. Like, and then the other thing was that one time in the game yesterday, the Hull players driving forward, TC sprinted all the way back, got there, just stood there. No tackle, no nothing, waiting for someone else to do it. You've made the sprint, go win it. And he's always second to the ball as well. Like, if there's a header coming his way, you're thinking, right, TC, you've got to go up and win it. Nah, let's just not. Let's just let the other player do it. And that's what kind of gets me like annoyed about him, because, and especially as he's starting over Tanto, like, you've got a guy there who clearly wants to play, who didn't even get on yesterday. And it just amazes me how this guy who isn't really impressing and isn't really doing much to the fans, he just gets in the side every week. And it's just like, Tanto's right there. Let him play.
This is my future host of the Charlton Chronicles right there.
Can I say something utterly ridiculous, Sid? And by the way, all of that analysis is absolutely fair and probably far better than mine. But the fact that he does that and runs and stops, it's exactly what I mean by press integrity. It's all about that shape. It's looking about where your mate is and standing equidistant, depending on what the manager's told me all week. And it is one of the things that I look at and I go, I absolutely understand why this frustrates everybody, because it frustrates me. Don't get me wrong. But with this particular manager, he will look at that and go, you're doing exactly what I want you to do. And it will drive all of us mad, but it is entirely about he wants a specific shape. And when that shape breaks down, that's when Nathan Jones has a tantrum. It's not when we lose the ball. It's not when the ball goes out for a throw in or you hit the bar or anything. He has a tantrum when his shape isn't quite right. And that's what's so incredibly frustrating about the whole thing, is that I absolutely get it and I don't defend it. But with this manager, unfortunately, that's going to be the way that I think he's going to stick with it. I think at least until Matty's back, and then we'll have to probably have a bit of a readjustment. But you know, I think the criticisms are absolutely fair.
Yeah, I do agree with Sid on certain points there. Like, I find Tyrese too weak on the ball. He gets pushed off the ball way too easy. He can't tackle to save his life, to be honest. And yeah, he won't get stuck in. But I do get obviously I see it from Callum's perspective, and this is why I like having Callum on, because Callum is very analytical and he kind of maybe reads the game a bit different from like a normal everyday fan who just goes to watch the football. Like I'll just be shouting, Tyrese, what you effing doing? And Callum will be like, no, he's pressing. And I'll be like just shouting at him instead when Callum's trying to calm me down in the stand. But I love it when Sid goes on a rant. It makes my Sunday evening. So we're going to read some comments out in the chat. So I asked people to give me their front two. So we've got Jack has said that Lee Byrne and Campbell are better as impact subs. James has asked, could Kelman play number 10 if Carey is deeper and we still have Lee Byrne? I wouldn't want to see Carey any deeper, to be honest. I think he's been fantastic, so why change something that is working? Jack has said that Kelman is improving game after game. CIC over says Tanto and Carey. Carey's not a striker, so that's a strange one. Chris has said Tanto and Kelman. Tommy has said Tanto and Kelman. Jack has said Tanto and Kelman. Other Jack has said Kelman and Tanto. We've got a bit of a running theme here. Buddy has said Tanto and Kelman. Tracy has also said Tanto and Kelman. Wesley has asked how far is Godden off being fit. And then DJ said, hopefully Godden is back soon. Jack has said, surely can't be far for Godden to return. Jack has said, I do think when Godden is back, it will be Kelman and Godden. And then CAFC over said, Godden's already healed, but he isn't working well enough for Jones to put him on. It's always interesting to hear these rumours. I don't know how true that is. DJ has said, bring back Gassan. I love a bit of the gas, man. Up the Gassan. Matt has said Tanto and Kelman, but once Goddard is back and ready, then Tanto and Godden. Tommy has said, be fair, Nathan Jones is just a way to play, and be fair, he's got a 6. You are either a Nathan Jones fan or not. He gets results, though. I'm definitely not a fan, but yeah, he does get results. Nathan is a defensive manager before an offensive manager. That is what James has said. DJ says, and Bick is smashing it at Colchester. Indeed, he is. Could be back in January. James has said, TC wins a lot of free kicks and Nathan Jones loves set pieces. He won the free kick at Wembley, remember? I was so drunk, I don't remember.
He won the free kick after fully being pushed over.
Yeah, there you go. CAFC has said, go on, Sid. Tracy said, go, Sid. TC has never won a header from my memory, so the players probably shouldn't bother pinging long balls if TC has to win it because it won't happen. Buddy said, fair play. I do understand he is frustrating to watch in regards to TC. Charlie has said, Sid is a very wise young lady. James. I'm not sure I agree with James, but Callum might. I think TC is our best player by a mile. He is frustrating, but does his job so well. I can't agree with that, by the way. I can't get on board with that. I'm sorry.
I don't agree with that, to be very clear.
Tommy has said, we are not managers. Mate, if I was the manager, we'd probably be relegated. If we start who we want and the results are not affected. DJ said, TC will be missed when he's gone unless we sign Raksaki. Wesley has said, sorry, Callum, my battery's nearly gone and you're putting me to sleep. That's a bit rude. Chris said, is Tyler still drunk from yesterday? Probably. Mate, Callum gives good analysis. There's nothing to go to sleep about there.
I think my mates in the pub would agree with him, to be honest with you. I'll check with Matt and Larry on the weekend.
Jason said TC and Kelman. Yeah, and that's it. So, Paul, I'll come back to you to talk about the subs. Obviously, we'd not seen Luke Berry for quite some time, and as we say, very good, very nice. He popped up, I would say, with his head, but I don't know if it was his shoulder or his chest.
It was his chest, I think. Was it his chest? I think. Yeah.
But he got it in there. So, what did you make of his performance from the 70th minute?
No, I think he was, we missed him. Obviously, he's been unlucky with injuries. I also think the accursed League One didn't befit his talents, to be honest. I know he scored that thunder bastard, didn't he, against Wickham in the 4-0. And that great brace, Oakwell, I said the Oakwood, sorry, Barnsley. But yeah, apart from that, we haven't really seen the best of him. And I think now we're in sort of the league above. I think you're probably going to start to see what all the fuss was about. I put a tweet out with the goal. Lots of Luton fans chiming in, said we miss him and all this sort of thing. He's clearly got a lot of credit in the bank with Nathan. So I hope, as I say, that this will be the first 20 minutes. It won't be the only 20 minutes we see him. We'll see him a lot more frequently. I think he's got a lot to offer. He just wasn't able to show it last season, really, in the trenches. Didn't suit him. Hopefully there'll be a bit more width and a bit more space for him to do best things. So it was great to see him. Obviously great to get the goal, and it's always nice when a player scores and people sort of rush to congratulate him, and you sort of know what people think about him. He's really valued. It's a great team spirit anyway, isn't it? But I was really glad he got his goal, and onwards and upwards hopefully for Luke.
Yeah, was there a few rounds of he goes by the name of Luke Berry?
It was
Berry.
absolutely, yeah, it certainly was, as there should be. So no, it was followed by cries of who are you, and etc. So no, it was good.
Yeah, I saw on TikTok there wasn't much of a divide, was there, between the home and away fans?
It was a bit like Reading, actually, reminded me a bit of
that's true.
Arlesen. Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw a few of the regular Charlton hooligans, is what I like to call them. That's me being polite, trying to act like children and give it to the whole giving it to the whole fans, but they've just ended up on TikTok looking like a bunch of wallies instead.
Stevenson were rage baiting the 14-year-old in the stand.
I know.
all the youths.
Yeah, Sid was over there going, "Who are you? Who are you?"
Exactly.
She was in the Glades. She was in the Glades the other day, sticking her fingers up at the Crystal Palace shop. Sid and Steve, I'll finish with you. So obviously the other subs, Connor Coventry, Onel Hernandez, I believe, got on for a few moments as well. And was that it? Am I missing any subs there at all? And Charlie Kelman came on. So if you can sort of sum up the sub performances in just a short bit.
Yeah, Charlie came on, worked really hard. He didn't really get too much of an opportunity in regards to shots away or chances, but he worked hard. Hernandez did well, I thought. I thought he came on and worked the line very well. Got some nice touches in and didn't give the ball away as and when. And Connor just settled back into Connor, really. Yeah, I thought those guys did what they needed to do when they came on. One thing I did want to touch on, and I'm sure that it's echoed by everyone that went yesterday, is there was a really nice moment before the game kicked off. Dino came over, Dean Holden, walked across the pitch and gave a really nice round of applause to the fans. And I thought that was a really classy act yesterday. He's obviously got a bit of Charlton love in him still in that respect. And obviously we never got a chance to say goodbye in how it all ended up. But I thought that was a really classy act by him yesterday. And I think he was very well received by the fans as well.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. He's a top fella, Dino, and I think he genuinely loved being at Charlton. I just think, unfortunately, he wasn't quite ready for the management role. Yeah. As that's as polite as I can be. Sid, why have you got the giggles? What's going on?
Because CAFC Irv in the chat has said, "I love seeing Steve giving it to Barry Bannon."
What was you doing, Steve?
Oh, we've all got a bit with Barry Bannon, haven't we? When he counted us down out of the
piss out of his airline.
Amongst other things, yeah. Yeah, just had a little moment, and Irv must have seen that. So yeah, we all had moments with Barry, didn't we?
Yeah, I will say actually before we go, I don't know whether to say congratulations or well done, or because Sheffield Wednesday, bless them, they've gone into administration, but they finally got rid of Chansiri, and I just want to say to the Sheffield Wednesday fans, best of luck from us. We've kind of been in these shitty situations with our owners, and I'm so happy that you've got rid of yours. And I only wish, nothing but the best for you as a fan base and for your club it's a historic club, and I wouldn't want to see any club go under, especially not one with such a rich history as Sheffield Wednesday. So I hope you can rebuild, obviously, what's, happened. Well, you're probably going to get relegated this season, but I hope you come back stronger with better owners and a united fan base, which is really, really important. So, and last thing I will say before I go is it is our co-founder's birthday today. So I want to wish Mr. Joshua Wilcox a happy 22nd birthday. He's still part of the Chronicles family. He may not be here with us, but he's still a massive part of our family. So a massive happy birthday to Josh. Don't forget, if you want to see Mr. Wilcox, I can't talk, I'm so tired. He is in the fan zone on a Saturday match day doing the kid stuff for the community trust. So if you wanted to catch up with Josh, that's where he is. So that is it for us tonight. So massive thanks to Paul, to Callum, great analysis, Callum, from you tonight, and to Sid and to Steve. And we will see you all on Wednesday. Well, not Callum, he has a work to do. But you will see us on Wednesday for our Swansea preview as we look ahead to Saturday's return to the Valley. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will see you all soon. Take care.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.